Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's so lovely to see you all here today. And welcome to this event. There will be people coming in and out all day. I know it's a full day, but it's actually lovely to see so many of you here, so many old faces. Sorry to call them old faces and new faces, staff, students, fellows, alumni, because this is all about community. What we do at Wolfson is we get together to solve important problems. And my goodness, if there's something that's less important than climate change, I'm not sure, that's more important than climate change, I'm not sure I know what it is. We're going to have interactive, different sessions going on throughout the day. I will get some paper badges. I think because we don't all know everybody, it'd be really good. I'll get some paper badges out to get you to scribble your name, or no, write clearly your name, so that blind people like me don't have to sort of really come close and stare at you inappropriately on your chest. But write your name legibly, write what your relationship with Wolfson is, and sort of a little bit about, what you've been involved in if you get room on that space, or take 2 badges. But I think it would be really nice to have those conversations over coffee, over tea, and so forth. I'm not going to say any more. There is some housekeeping apart from welcome. I talk a little bit about what we've been doing in Wolfson later on, but I'm asking Charlie first to come up and tell you a little bit about housekeeping during the day. It's not, the doors are there, sit on the left. It's not that sort of housekeeping. You know where the exits are, but other kinds of things to tell you about the day. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you all so much for joining today, and I'm aware of the people online. Hello to people online as well from around the UK. People will be joining in and out today as they come, so do feel free to move around as you need. You can see the programme on the right-hand side. For those in the room, there's a physical copy that you can have. For those online, we sent around a digital version. Now, boards. You'll see at the back of the room there are some boards. Throughout the day, you are going to hear a lot of information about lots of different things, and the way we want you to interact is if you like something, you can use one of the pink post-it notes and add a little comment. You love it. If you wish for something within it, you can use the green post-it notes, and then there are other post-it notes if you want to write other bits. We've generically tried to use blue ones for sort of a thumbs up and orange ones for a thumbs down, and it is explained on the boards. For those online or during the day itself, on the programme, that QR code points to a digital comments board where you can add comments digitally. So if you're just sitting here and you want to do it on your phone, then you can do that. And it allows people online to contribute as well. And towards the end of the day, we'll be using some of these comments to use in the session. For those contributing, I please ask you to keep to time. We've got a lot of amazing things to get through. We want to make sure that everyone gets a moment to talk. Please speak into the mic. I know in the room you can kind of hear it when the mic's not being used. It's more for the people online, and we're recording this, so we want to make sure that we can actually hear your contribution, so make sure you speak into the mic. There'll be some breaks. There's one break during session 1, at the end of session 1, where you'll get tea, coffee, and some caffeine, much needed caffeine. There'll be a lunch break in session 2, and there'll be another break at the end of session 3. During the lunch, you can have an optional tour of the Wolfson Gardens, the conservation that the gardeners do here, from 1 o'clock, meet in the Lee Hall foyer, and there will also be a tour on sustainability and art and the Fine Arts Committee from Anna Dempster, who was the mentor who did the paintings which are up from some of the Living Lab projects that we've done. So that is at 1 o'clock as well in the Lee Hall foyer to get a tour of sustainability art at Wolfson. And there's an exhibition up at the moment that you will go and see. Thank you to the Fine Arts Committee for all that collaboration that you do there. And a reminder to please keep to time. And in that interest, I will be quiet. And please, would we have a lovely round of applause to welcome up Professor Steve Evans for session 1.
Good morning, everyone. This is going to be an interesting day. I was reflecting with Charlie, 3 years, really? We started this in the middle of COVID? That's not my memory. My memory is of Jane's phrase, community. And somehow through the first 2 years of our existence, we managed to build a sense of community, maybe in the hardest time to do such a thing. And I think it's worth us thinking about how we used that power and how we might use it going forward. So I've got some remarks to make on our 3-year journey. I don't want to get too boring and talk about history. And I don't want to emphasize the past because results are still waiting, right? This place, the college, for example, we have a fantastic plan to become increasingly sustainable. And one day we can come in here and celebrate when we reach some of those milestones. So I don't want to be too smug about achievements, but I do think they're bloody amazing, right? So how do we do that? So I'm going to talk for a few minutes explaining what we've been doing over the last 3 years very briefly. Then we're going to have a panel discussion with most of the lovely people up here. Konstantinos, unfortunately, has a health problem in his family and is staying away from us. So we're going to miss Konstantinos, but luckily, Charlie will make up something to replace that. And then we're going to have a conversation with everyone in the room. So I'll be asking the panel to come up after I've talked for a few minutes about our shared history. So I'm Steve Evans. Some of you know me. I'm a fellow of this place, and I work in the Department of Engineering, leading the research in industrial sustainability. And one of the odd and wonderful things about Wolfson, I'm looking at 2 people in particular here, we actually have quite a good collection and selection of senior sustainability researchers. I don't know if there's some connection between the Wolfson ethic and values and why those people chose, out of the many colleges, to come to Wolfson. I don't know if that's the root cause of it, but we are lucky. I don't think there are dozens of fantastic research leaders in the broader subject of sustainability concentrated in any of the other colleges of the university. And I think we've taken advantage of that. So, I'm going to give a brief overview. Welcome, Joe. Right, I'm going to embarrass everyone who comes in late.
No, it's just on time.
See? Good, let's start an argument. I wanted, we couldn't find it, could we, Charlie? I wanted the photograph of the very first time we gathered in this room. Some of us will remember gathering in this room around tables where we were all, my memory is freshening. I remember that negotiation that we had about, am I going to wear a mask? Is this a group of 3? Etc., etc. And we had separate tables, big doors and windows open, blowing the breeze through. And we were trying to build a theory of change. I think that's really quite important. When we talk about sustainability at Wolfson, it is essentially based on the idea that we understand our own theory of change. The logic of what inputs and resources we need and what processes we will use to create outputs and eventually impacts. And I think that's important because, and I'll come to a conclusion at the end, I hope that will make it very, very clear, because there are other ways to do sustainability. I have been teaching this week organizations that want to become very sustainable. And we're comparing different ways of doing that, different strategies of getting onto a sustainability pathway. And I've got a bit of a joking slide about, make an announcement. we're going to be net zero by 2030, then work out what that means, then work out if you can afford it. And, half the room goes, yes, that's us. Wolfson didn't do that. And I think you can see places, not so far from this place, which has been doing that. So this picture is the theory of change as it exists today. I just want to remind those of us in the room who were there, busy scribbling away with fellow students, with alumni, with staff, all of this. We wrote a lot of things. I can't even read it from this distance, so you're not expected to read it. But we generated a lot of content and started to build a shape. But to help explain that to the world, we ended up inspired by maybe something in front of the Porter's Lodge. We ended up drawing a tree. And the tree still survives in our picture of theory of change. And the roots represent the resources and inputs, and the trunk represents the hub itself, a coordinating activity. And eventually we thought, we've got some interesting ideas here. Eventually we made each of the bigger branches a sort of theme around which actions self-generated by that group could occur. Hopefully, eventually, driving fruit and impact. Oh, did you see that clever metaphor there? So I hope I'm sending two messages, maybe more than two. Communication is really important. If we all want to work together, we have to understand things in some sort of shared way. We don't have to agree with everything that everyone else says, but we do have to be able to talk about it in a sensible way. And we found that drawing a tree helped us do that. And it helped bring lots of people together. The second thing is that I think that in my experience in Wolfson, this has been the activity that has most engaged alumni. And it's been one of the joys of this. We can recall 2020 and being on large Zoom meetings when you have one of my favorite moments in the entire history of the Hub was when we had people who hadn't yet arrived but had accepted their offer and had passed their exams and were excited as heck about getting on a train or car to Cambridge, talking with people who'd graduated 30 years previously about the experience and about what that meant for them and how they could engage with the ideas of sustainability. That was the best buzz that I had in this. It's not the energy-saving results, not even lovely photographs, but that in getting the communities together that make up the college, I think it was rare and fabulous to see that happening. So this meant that under each branch, somebody had the enthusiasm to go away and do something and started generating actions. Not on the branch, because it's a general idea, was something that we came up with to have living labs. The idea that the college itself is a rather busy place with a lot of interaction of people, material flows, energy flows, water flows, and has its own sustainability impacts in a direct way. Wouldn't it be great if this could be a place of experimenting? And that's what we call the Living Lab. And people have come up with lots of ideas with marvelous support from Steve Hoth and his family, We've been able to run now a number of living lab projects. So we're experimenting on ourselves. We're not just saying to poor Darren, could you install that boiler, please? Please install that heat pump. Go and get that job done. Again, I think that's a difference in the way that we've gone about this. So we started with this lot of information, and we ended up fairly quickly trying to draw a plan. So our idea was that for each of the major branches, such as thought leadership, people development, we would seek to do 2 things each academic year. This is all voluntary. 2 a year per branch is quite a lot of activity when you add it all up. And we've somehow managed to keep up that degree of momentum. For somehow, read Charlie, right? For those of us in the know. Where are we now? We've got a much simplified picture. We're beginning to understand, by watching ourselves, watching what works and what doesn't work, the importance of the community here, the importance of focusing on action and on knowledge. So we're really simplifying things. It's taken a lot of time together to help us reflect and work out what works and what doesn't. So I'm really keen to emphasize this idea that this is a community-based activity and program of the college. I'll offer you other ways of doing it, in contrast in a second. It's also action-oriented, and at the same time, it is about knowledge and developing people. But what we don't do is offer people classes. This is a university. There's quite a lot of them available elsewhere. We offer things that are in addition and complementary to whatever education they're getting, and offer people the chance, no matter how naive you are, join a branch, make something happen. You won't be criticized for being naive, and you might leave more motivated and more knowledgeable, which is our hope. So we're beginning to say we are a community of action and knowledge, right? Those are the things we do. We try to get things done, and we try to learn. And I want to offer some examples. If we go back to 2020, the college was, I can't remember the exact timing, Joe, and I'm going to put you on the spot. We were beginning to think about our future strategy and our future master plan as a physical college. I think because of the hub's existence, this set of statements wouldn't have existed. So we do have a sustainability committee with a responsibility to support the college in its sustainable planning for the future. But I think without the hub and the energy and the actions and recognizing that things can get done, this wouldn't have taken the energetic and positive form that it did take. It would have said lots of double negatives things. We will stop doing this bad thing. We will stop doing this bad thing. We will stop doing pumping CO2 into the atmosphere. Instead, we've grabbed an enthusiastic, positive, knowledge-based approach to our sustainability strategy as a college, and I think that's because of the hub. Now I'm going to finish